Why is it offensive to call someone fat who is fat?
Hello gorgeous superstars, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Holly Honjo. If you don't know, I make workouts that are fat, senior, injury and disability friendly. And I'm so glad you're here. Last week I was talking about the word fat. And in that video I was talking about whether it was acceptable to call other people fat, whether it's okay to call yourself fat. You know, are we using the word fat these days to describe people? And let me tell you, I had a lot of people reply to that. There definitely was a huge divide in the comments section. A lot of us feel like we want to reclaim the word fat and use it as a completely neutral word, neither positive nor negative, but just a mere descriptor of our body type, or not body type, our body composition, I guess. And also, you know, some of you felt like you're just being honest with yourself when you call yourself fat, but it's not a negative thing, and it definitely is not a measure of our worth or our value in this world, which is true because it's not. On the other hand, I had other people who felt still very, very uneasy, uncertain, a little bit annoyed about people using the word fat to describe themselves, and that they would never describe themselves as fat. Because, to be honest, I believe because it just holds so many negative connotations that it's really, really hard to shake that stigma. So I totally get why it makes so many of us feel uncomfortable. I mean, I even said I definitely wouldn't be comfortable with other people kind of calling me fat. And when I talk about being called fat by other people, I'm not talking about randomers in the street coming up and saying, hey, this is a fat person. I'm not talking about unsolicited comments on our bodies, because let's go back to the golden rule. You do not need to comment on other people's bodies. Your body, your business, okay? Nobody should be commenting on anybody else's body, okay? It's no one else's damn business. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about using the word fat in general to describe a body type. And for example, another thing for me personally, I know a lot of people kind of struggle with what to say when they're talking about my YouTube channel. I definitely say that I make workouts for fat people. I also do use the word plus size, as I know a lot of people feel a bit more comfortable with that. But my husband, for example, he kind of doesn't know how he should describe my channel. And I've told him, you should just use the word fat. Say, I make workouts for fat people. And he does, and he definitely says he feels like there's a bit of a gasp when he uses that word, because people are simply not used to hearing it in a neutral way. Because, you know, as I discussed last time, fat definitely has this kind of undercurrent, this negative connotation that goes along with it, that if you use fat equals bad, fat equals unhealthy. So I wanted to get a little bit more into that today, which brings me anyway to what I wanted to talk about today, which I thought led on really nicely. I stumbled across this video on TikTok. There'd been a personal trainer who had put out a video asking, you know, whether it was okay to use the word fat, or she was talking, oh, sorry, not she. I'm trying very careful unless I know people's pronouns. So I try to use they or them. So I hope it doesn't get too confusing, because I'm not sure of this person's pronouns. So I'm just going to use they or them. But anyway, this personal trainer had put out a TikTok, which we're going to see a tiny snippet of, and then another person reacted to their TikTok, and that is what I'm going to be talking mostly about, is their reaction and what they have to say in response. I think that's it. Let's get going.
Why is it offensive to call someone fat who is fat?
Anyway, here we go. So that was the personal trainer. Oh, ex-personal trainer.
I've seen your entire video. I understand where you're coming from, but you're f***ing wrong. I've been bullied all my life because I'm fat. I've had people call me fat to my face. I've had people tell me that I'm worthless because I'm fat.
And this is the reason why people don't like to be called fat, because of the connotation that fat equals worthless. And this pisses me off, because that is not true. We are not, the measure of our worth is not, our measure of worth is not equal to our weight. Well, actually, if it was, I would have a huge measure of worth, wouldn't I? But yeah, our worth has nothing to do with our weight.
One of my breaking points in high school was me sitting in the bathroom right in front of the mirror, looking myself dead in the eyes and telling myself that I'm fat, that I'm worthless, that I'd be better off dead because nobody would have to deal with me and my weight again.
I feel for this person so much. This is so heavy. Obviously, it sounds like they were pretty horrifically bullied just for being fat, which is totally unacceptable. And again, at the end when they say, I was better off killing myself, or I'm better off, being dead because no one then has to deal with me and my weight. What the hell does that even mean? Like, just because you're fat does not mean you are a problem. Just because you're fat does not mean that you are not loved, cherished, and valued. You are worth something in this world. And I want you, if you're at home and feeling badly about being fat, do not feel bad. There is someone out there, I'm out here, I care for you, and you are wanted in this world. And it breaks my heart, like hearing stuff like this, that somebody honestly, felt like committing suicide, or I don't know if they thought they would commit suicide, but thought that they would be better to be dead than to be alive. It's awful. And this is the stigma that being fat and using the word fat against people carries with it. So if you're a person who comments on other people, I don't think anyone watching my channel would be a person like that, to be honest. So I don't feel like I even need to warn people, because I know none of you would do that. But I'm sure you can all agree that this is just horrific.
I broke myself that day, all because I'm fat. It's not wrong to be concerned by someone's health, but it's not okay to call them fat.
My only issue, aside from the video, and the audio looks like it's a little bit off with the video, so you'll have to excuse that. But my only other issue with that video, with this TikTok, is when he says, unless you're concerned with someone's health. Again, other people's health is not your concern, unless you are a doctor. And I don't know how I even feel about saying this, but unless you are a family member, but when I say family member, I don't know, even then, I feel like there's a very thin line between it being appropriate to talk about someone's health or not. And again, your health is not of value. Ugh, why do I keep saying it wrong? Your health is not a measure of your worth or your value. And I feel this is pretty ableist bull right here when people talk about health in conjunction with being fat, because who cares if you're unhealthy? It's no one else's damn business. And I feel like this has been something that I've been thinking about for a long time, that has really kind of annoyed me a little bit with the body positivity movement or self-love movement. Not anybody's fault. I know whose fault it is. From the beginning, people were called fat. Fat people have been called fat. Plump people have been called fat. The word fat has been weaponized against us to mean so much more than being fat. And then when fat people kind of said, no, we've had enough, I don't want to be bullied or teased or taunted, about my weight anymore. It has nothing to do with anything. The haters, the commentators said, oh, no, you got me all wrong. I actually just really care about your health. I'm just really worried about you because being fat is not healthy. I didn't know if you knew that. So yeah, when I called you fat, I just meant you're unhealthy. Which in turn, it made, Number one, again, if you really were worried about someone's weight, this is a side note, if you really are worried about someone's health, you wouldn't be bullying them or calling them names anyway, because as we all know, mental health plays a huge part. Mental health, it's in the word there, right? Mental health. So that is a part of health. So when you're feeling stressed or anxious or depressed because you have been bullied and called fat, that kind of makes you unhealthy, okay, right there. So, you know, that's not good for your mental health. So if you really care about people, you wouldn't call them names. You wouldn't weaponize their body against them, calling them fat, which, as I've already said, also does have other connotations: ugly, lazy, stupid, worthless. Okay. So anyway, haters called fat people fat. Fat people said, no, we don't like being called fat anymore because it means all these other things. Haters clap back and say, no, we just care about your health. Health is not is not a measure of your worth either. So to assume that health, therefore by being healthy or not healthy, then means you're a person who is, deserving of love and respect, because that's also ableist, which I definitely don't subscribe to. So not only that, but then I feel like fat people have been forced to say, no, I'm actually really very healthy. I might be fat, but I'm very healthy. I do believe it was Tess Holliday has, came out and said, oh no, I've been to the doctor, all my blood work looks fine, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually very healthy. Your health is no one else's business. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to swear. Somebody's health is no one else's business, and we should not be putting this on them. You don't go up to slim people, thin people, and ask them, oh, you're eating a burger, I'm worried about your health. Nobody comments on slim people's bodies in the same way. Being called slim, and I'm not even slim or thin shaming here, because that would mean that being called thin has a negative connotation, which it doesn't. In the history of the word, being called thin has never been a horrible thing to be. It has always been the kind of like revered and praised thing. People want to be thin, don't they? Thin does not mean ugly. If you say, oh, she's so thin, you would never think ugly. If you say, oh, look at that person, they're really thin, you wouldn't think, oh, yeah, they are stupid. So it's completely different things right now. So going back to this person's video, when he's saying, unless you're concerned about their health, no, nobody's health is anyone else's business. And that is really all I have to say about this whole thing. Mind your own business. Golden rule number 1, we don't comment on other people's bodies. Number 2, health does not determine your worth either. Sorry, I really struggled to say that. I get confused in my head. But yeah, health is not an indication or a measure of your value or your worth either. And that's all I wanted to say. I think that's all he says.
That's why I try to spread positivity. That's why I hate people who call others fat. That's why I will try to help anybody, because I gave up on myself. No.
Oh, and that's the point. He says he hates anybody who calls other people fat. Well, to be honest, yeah, because anyone calling someone else fat probably is weaponizing the word and using it in a negative way. It's not ever going to be because they care about your health. It's not going to be because they care about you. It's because they're being horrible. So to be like, oh, but you are fat, so I was just going to call you fat. No, let's not comment on other people's bodies.